no one has asked, and I'm thankful for that. But I thought maybe I should explain why I'm often bringing God into the conversation about diet. So I've probably told the story before where back in 2018, it was towards the end of the year, I was so frustrated with, I was discovering that I had zero self control with certain foods. And I was frustrated with that. It wasn't just sweets that I was struggling with, it was also like, if I had made like a really good meal, I'd want to go back and have seconds. And then, of course, I'd be regretting it later because I'd be so sick to my stomach. And then there was also when we would go to eat out, um, I would just overeat. I would eat everything in front of me. Of course, we had to have appetizers and then the meal and then a dessert. And oh my goodness, I'd be like walking up and down the hallway from how bad I felt, like the massive amounts of indigestion that I was going through. Um, so, yeah, I was understanding that I was really having a hard time with self control. And then I came to the realization that God calls us to be self controlled. I never put diet in that category, though. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense, but it's like God doesn't say, oh, just be self controlled in this area or that area. It's a blanket statement that across the board, we need to be self controlled. And so I started praying. And I had decided to start going through the book of Proverbs and writing it down. I wanted to do a Bible study by myself where I was praying and reading and seeing what kind of information I could find. And I did 40 days, and it was so amazing. I got to the end of 40 days. I had learned so many lessons about myself. I was writing everything down. I'm like, yeah, wow, Lord, thank you so much for all this information. I really want to keep going. So I did another 40 days and then another 40 days. And after that, I was hooked. I'm like, never mind. This is just how I live now. So there's not going to be a limit on the number of days. This is just how it is. So for a full year, I was seeking God and I kept writing down my issues. And I noticed that I was having, like, once you start writing it down, you notice the issues that you are having. So over and over again, it was making the same bad choices every time and just hoping for a different outcome. It was having that little voice saying, you shouldn't have that, and then eating it anyway and regretting it. And I was so fed up. And the thing is, it was July. So it was November 2018 when I started doing the Bible study. July the next year is when I got mom going on low carb to help her get her diabetes under control. And then from July to that November is when I started noticing how much better I felt after changing my diet. And I find it interesting that for me, God will often give me the evidence first, and then he'll show me what's going on. So in that case, it was, yeah, you're just eating some of the meals that you're making for your mom, and do you happen to notice how good you feel? I'm like, oh my word. So it was 4 months of the evidence stacking up without me even, I wasn't even low carb at that point. I was just eating some of the meals. So I had all the evidence that I needed. And then, when I started realizing what was going on, I wanted to understand more about like low carb and keto. So I started to research that, and I found out the explanation as to why I was struggling so bad in the past, why it was so difficult to lose weight, why I was always hungry. All the puzzle pieces fell into place, and I was able to just jump in and make that commitment. So when you've been serving God long enough, it's like, there are some things that might happen that might be a coincidence, but when you see one thing after the other, you can't say it's a coincidence anymore. You understand that God clearly had his hand in getting you from point A to point B to point C and so on. So this is why I'm always bringing God up. And I mean, it's not just that everything fell into place and that was it. I had everything solved. I did not. It's been over 5 years now of God still teaching me lessons, things that I need to understand and let go of. I still struggle sometimes to listen to that voice that says, maybe you shouldn't have that. And I mean, God gives us, free will, so we can make the decision anyway. We can decide that we're going to have it anyway, but we don't get to escape the consequences. And that has been a continued struggle for me. So while it's like, yeah, I'm not tempted to eat sweets, I'm not tempted to eat certain processed foods and stuff like that, those things just aren't a temptation anymore. I still struggle with other forms of temptation. But God is right there because I keep bringing him into it. I keep praying. It's like, well, Lord, help me. Help me to be strong. Help me to make the right choices. I want to feel good. So therefore, I want to make the right food choices. Anyway, I think that's about all I have to say about that. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.